What's up, everybody? Chopping it up. Justin Fields, New Jets quarterback one in this video. What does he need to do to be the guy to justify the signing? What can we expect from him in 2025? So I think in order from a fan perspective, because to become the guy to get that contract that Sam Darnold got from the Seahawks, where he's going to be their medium-term starter, I don't know what Muji and Glenn's criteria is for that. Obviously, stylistically, he's so much different than Sam and a lot of other quarterbacks. It would look a lot different, but that's obviously the hope, and it's obviously possible. That is one of the reasons why given the options at the time, my hope was that the Jets would sign Justin Fields because of all the guys. There is a non-0% chance he can do that. All the other options was pretty much a 0% chance that he could become a medium-term to potentially long-term solution at the quarterback position. So that is part of your hedged bet. Now, is it a guarantee that if he has a decent offensive line and some decent coaching that he's going to be one of the 12 at most human beings on earth who are like franchise quarterbacks? Of course, it's not a guarantee. The Jets know that, which is why the Jets didn't give him a 4-year, $100 million contract off rip. If they knew that, you have a quarterback's coach who's nice to him and Armand Membu blocks for him, and boom, he's Josh Allen. Of course, they know there's a chance that's not the case. That's why they gave him the contract that they gave him, which honestly is pretty reasonably priced. He's one of the lowest paid starters who's not competing to start or isn't a rookie. So it's like, oh, how can you give Fields $20 million if he's not a proven guy? It's not proven guy money. It's a hedge bet. I think it was a worthwhile bet. And if at the end of 2025, we're looking at the 2026 offseason and we feel like as fans, because that's the only perspective I can speak from as a fan, if I feel like, hey, man, if there's not a quarterback that's on the board that we're in love with in the first round, okay, we can roll with Fields another year. Or maybe draft a quarterback on day 2 to compete with him. We feel like there's enough stability at that position to where we're not operating out of desperation. That is a W, because there is a big gap between that and we need to reach for a quarterback. Because if Fields flames out with the Jets, which honestly, if he does, looking at his last, 15, 20 games, if he completely flops to where like we cannot win games with this guy at all, then that's a little bit of a referendum on the coaching staff, or maybe like injuries on offensive line, or maybe Fields was hurt, because Fields has been all right. Like we'll talk about some numbers in a little bit, but he's been a quarterback that you can kind of win with over those last few games. Not win because of, but win with. So I don't think he completely flames out. But if he does, obviously that would suck. And obviously that would put the Jets in a bind. And they are in reach season for whatever quarterback they could possibly get in 2026. And you've seen what happens when you reach because you need a quarterback. It's not a spot you want to be operating from. So that will be a positive outcome to me. Heading into 2026, you're like, hey, man, if we got to do Fields round 2, we can do that. No problem. That is an optimistic and realistic expectation for Fields, whatever that may look, I don't know, stats wise, wins wise, but I think you get what I'm saying, right? Now, stats wise, with Fields, looking at his last 20 games here, and there is some stuff to like. 22 touchdowns to 10 picks. Now, obviously, that's not a ton of volume, of course, because he doesn't have a ton of attempts, but in terms of efficiency, a little bit more than a 2 to 1 touchdown interception ratio. That's perfectly fine. I mean, if he can increase the passing volume and maintain that ratio, you can live with that all day long. A little bit more than 2 to 1 touchdown interception ratio, that is fine. 63% completions, 7.0 yards per attempt. His team scoring around 20 points per game. Again, a lot of these numbers are eerily similar on an efficiency basis to what we had with Aaron Rodgers last year. Obviously, the volume is way different, and stylistically, it's way different. But you're wanting to improve there. So we were at 63% completions and 6.7 yards per attempt last year. Well, that's a low bar. I didn't set that bar. Take it up with the guys who were playing here last year, man. So that's where the bar is for improvement, man. 63% completions, 6.7 yards per attempt, scoring more points than Andy Dalton's Panthers. That's where the bar was set. So you got to take it up with the gentleman who set it there. Fields needs to get over that bar, and he just needs to marginally improve to be in some good company with those numbers. Bump it up from 63% to 64, 64.5, 7.0 to 7.1, 7.2. He is not leagues away from being an adequate passer in terms of efficiency in some key metrics. Okay, those being some of them. Now, in some of them, he is a bit away. Number one area he has to improve is the pressure to sack rate. Um, is it a perfect science? No, because and basically what this is saying is how well do you manage pressure? Like if you are being pressured in this circumstance, how likely is it that you are going to get sacked in terms of another quarterback who can escape, break a tackle, sense the pressure coming, throw the ball away, right? Your ability to manage pressure. Okay. So that is something that is gotten better each year of his career, but is still near the bottom of the league. And that is tethered to his 3.1 seconds time to throw, which is the slowest of any quarterback that has enough attempts to qualify. Now, obviously, if you're a mobile quarterback, you're going to be higher up there. Like Jalen Hurts is like 2.9, Josh Allen 2.8 something, right? So all the quarterbacks who are able to extend plays are going to have a longer time to throw. Whereas last year we had a very quick time to throw, right? Tua Tagovailoa, it's like 2.3 because he hits his back foot and throws the ball. So that is a trade-off you're going to make to get some of those extended plays and some of those runs. But you still can't be the slowest in the NFL, I think, in terms of time to throw, right? Because that's tethered to your pressure to sack rate. And I think if he gets that time to throw, get it where Jalen Hurts is living, man. Get it in the high 2.8s, 2.9, and then that'll probably a trickle effect to your pressure to sack rate, getting down to like 20, 19. Now you're talking about you're making your weak point like where you're below average at it, but it's not a kryptonite to you, right? Because that is he kind of has a fatal flaw in that area. So can he improve it? More importantly, can the Jets do things to help him improve that? And to be honest, I haven't watched every single snap. Maybe there was a pressure where, oh, well, there was actually double A gap pressure. And that is more difficult to manage than a blitzing corner to one side where you can roll out and throw it away. So if you're a Bears fan, you watch whatever 40 Justin Fields starts, you can let me know. But I think with enough of a sample size, I have a feeling that that number is attached to maybe some habits that have to be coached out of him. I'm going to guess that there's something to that, right? So that's the biggest one to improve there. And then as a rusher, he's given you 57 yards per game in his last 20 starts. And you have to look at it. It's kind of tricky when you look at his numbers because in Pittsburgh, he started 6 games at quarterback, but he played in 11 games. So he came in as a wildcat guy. So that's why his yards per game throwing is 111 yards per game in 2025. But that's not really the case because you can't count the games where he came in for 2 quarterback sneaks and that's 0 yards, and that's going to tank his average. So it's been 183 passing yards per game, 57 rush yards per game, and 9 rushing touchdowns over that span, 17 fumbles. Got to knock the fumbles down. Those are the 2 biggest things if you can improve is the time to throw, because there's a trickle effect to his 3 worst numbers: time to throw, pressure to sack rate, fumbles. Guess what? If your time to throw decreases to 2.8, that probably knocks your pressure to sack rate down to 18 or 19. And if you're getting sacked, if you're taking now all of a sudden a dozen, 14, 15 less sacks on the season, maybe now you have 3 or 4 less fumbles too. So it all starts at that time to throw. If he can knock that down, it'll have a trickle effect to fix some of his other weak points. And then there's some stuff to work with here, man. Like you can work with 63% completions and 7.0 yards per attempt for a quarterback who's giving you top 3 rushing ability, because his rushing yards per game is second only to Lamar Jackson in this span, and his propensity to get rushing touchdowns on a per game basis is third behind Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. So you have a top 3 rushing quarterback. If you're getting mid efficiency while bumping up the volume, let's get it from 183 yards to, I don't know what, 205. If he's rushing for almost 60 yards a game, you can live with 205 passing yards. And then fix that fatal flaw. That's the big one, man. If they can fix that, there's stuff to Fields if they could fix that one. In terms of his processing and all of that, I just don't know, man. Like to me, it takes a lot of knowledge of what the play call is and then like what the defense is. So maybe somebody like Joe Blue, I'm sure, has a breakdown on that of like, oh, he should have recognized cover 2 and because of this cloud corner was over here and then moved off that. That's just like above my head. But the good thing is you don't need to be a rocket scientist to see like how some of this could be pretty serviceable. If you can get some improvements on the margins in the efficiency and really improve that time to throw, which has been the bugaboo for him. And lean into the rushing, leverage the rushing. The Jets couldn't pick up a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 to save their life last year. Make that automatic. So if he does all those things, I think we're ending the 2025 season, and we're probably fighting about it, right? Extend him, no, draft a quarterback, right? It'll probably be an argument about it, but yeah, man, I think that'll put you in a spot to where you're not operating out of desperation. And then you're thinking, hey, man, if he bumped up whatever, if he improved by 15%, in year 1 with his coaching staff, maybe you think, okay, does he have another gear to improve in 2026 with his 2nd year in the system? What does that look like? That to me, that again, that's not holy crap, he lit the world on fire. It all came together for him. The stars all aligned, and he threw for 32 touchdowns and rushed for 1,000 yards, like Lamar 2019. There are many outcomes that are not that are still very positive for Justin Fields and the Jets, and I think it looks like improving on what we just laid out, which isn't too bad. And really, man, that time to throw, they gotta have a clicker in practice. 3 seconds, that ball's got to be out. And we'll talk ball soon.